favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit vividseats.com for the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Now, it's time for your Atlanta Braves morning update, presented by Tidal Wave Auto Spa. Get clean car happy at any of the 250-plus Tidal Wave Auto Spa locations today.
Braves getting the win column split a 2-game series with the Marlins. I'm Barrett Sallee, and this is your Braves Radio Network morning update.
Get clean car happy all season long at Tidal Wave with exclusive membership discounts, giveaways, and more. Visit TidalWaveAutoSpa.com/Braves for more information.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes it rains. All 3 of those things happened to the Braves over the weekend. Big 10-0 win over the Marlins on Friday. They get shut out by the Marlins 4-0 on Saturday, with Sunday's game being washed out. It'll be made up August 9th at 1:15 as part of a split doubleheader with the Miami Marlins. But that Friday night game, we got to see what all of us have been hoping to see for a very long time. Marcell Ozuna goes deep. Matt Olson goes deep. They hit with runners in scoring position. All is right in the world until it wasn't on Saturday. But we'll look to get on the winning track on Tuesday against those fighting Phils. First pitch, 7:15 Eastern Time from Truist Park. Braves Radio Network coverage starts at 6 p.m. with the Ford Leadoff Show. I'm Barrett Sallee, and this is your Braves Radio Network morning update.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by CB&S Bank. Bank anywhere, at any time with CB&S Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Here are thoughts from baseball head coach Rob Vaughn following Alabama's doubleheader split on Saturday at Auburn.
Yeah, man, it's a long day, and I've said that from the rip, man. These guys fight, and their toughness and their competitiveness and all those things is as good as it gets, man. They were outstanding. I thought our bullpen was incredible today. Braylon Myers was absolutely outstanding. Everybody coming out of that pen was great. Finn did a great job. Banksy did a great job. I mean, great job out of the pen. I think the reality is, when you go, we talk about kind of getting to neutral, right? Just going to the facts, and you're the facts. And when you go on the road against, a top 15 team in the country, and, yesterday we were in the bullpen in the second, and today we were in the bullpen in the first. Like, it's just not a recipe for success.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Join us tonight for Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance, live at 6 p.m. Central at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Hey Coach is available to listen to across our radio network, the Varsity Network app, as well as a video stream on all CTSN social media platforms at UA_CTSN. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CB&S Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Indoor air quality, service and repair, system installation, natural gas, duct work. They can do it all. It's Talent Heating and Air. They have been the official sponsor of our 97.7 ES. And tonight, after 66 games, started with 68 teams. Tonight in San Antonio, we will decide the college basketball championship between Florida and Houston. And if you're keeping track at home, everything, even with a loss tonight, the Big 12
season's ass and win the tournament. And then basically, to me, you have to have the greatest run of any conference in any season ever. And again, love Bobby Champagne. He's fixing to come on in the second hour. And what a comeback by Houston. Duke choked on sauce. That's all that was. They had the first game pressure they faced, since, I guess, the ACC tournament semifinal against North Carolina. But this is real game pressure. This is winner-go-home pressure. And Duke folded like a cheap suit. I mean, that's just basically what they did. They were up 59 to 45 with like under 8 minutes to go, and up 64 to 55 with just over, I think, 2.5 minutes after Cooper Flagg made a three from the corner, and they could not close the game out. Turnovers, lack of rebounding, missed free throws by Tyrese Proctor, who to me was if you want to circle one guy who was the culprit down the stretch, who almost single-handedly lost the game. It was Tyrese, because there's a reason he's gone from wonderkind, guy that reclassified from Australia that's going to be a lottery pick point guard, to being a second-rounder lucky to get drafted, because, A, he's not a true one, because if he was, they would have won the game, because he's too busy dribbling the ball off his leg, getting it passed to him late in the game. And then when he went to the free throw line with about one, with about, I guess, 12 seconds to go or so, 20. It was under 25 seconds. I can't remember the exact time on the clock, but I was like, he's going to miss. And he went up there after making the last two, but he choked on the front end of the 1-and-1. And then the call on Cooper Flagg trying to get the rebound. You could say whether or not that's an iffy call, but hey, credit to Roberts. He's a senior, 6-year guy. He steps up, makes the team.
In the first 8+ minutes of the game.
Yeah, it was 15-9. It was a struggle bus early for Houston. They just kept competing, though. That's what I love about Sam's teams. They don't hang dog. There's not bad body language. You just keep competing, and they certainly did that. Duke controlled the majority of the game, but they didn't control the last, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, really a 7+ minutes when you think about being up 59-45. The last 10 minutes, I think Duke had one field goal. That's just all that is Houston locking up. And Houston was the smaller team, but they competed harder, they played harder, they were tougher, and they were able to make the tough plays to win the game. And that's what they gave themselves, that opportunity. I think that's what Kelvin will ask Bobby Champagne this, but I think he just wanted to get the game to the end in the last 2 to 3 minutes, and then be within striking distance, and then put game pressure on Duke. And that's what they did. And we talked about Houston being a much better shooting team this year under Coach Sampson. They were 10 of 22 from the three-point line. Duke was 7 of 17, but 10 made threes, and several in the last 3 or 4 minutes, because, Houston was fighting uphill. So they had to make the shots, and they did that. LJ Cryer was huge. Sharp was huge. And they didn't shoot a great percentage. Neither team shot 40% from the field, but the execution of Houston in the last 2 to 3 minutes was just better than Duke. And, John Shire wore it, and he should. He's a great young coach, and he's improved every year at the helm at Duke. He's gone from 30 round to 32, Elite 8, Final 4. But Houston, give them credit. This will be their first final since the Slamma Jamma days, and what a win for the Houston Cougars.
All right, so that game there, that game was every bit as good as we thought it would be. The one before that, the Auburn-Florida game, was every bit as good as we thought it would be. It's ebbs and flows in that one. For 20 minutes, the Auburn Tigers looked like they were going to be a force to be reckoned with. They were getting the ball into the paint. They were getting Janai Brute touches. He was scoring. Auburn was doing Auburn things. They were getting the tempo that they wanted. And then halftime happened. Second half, Florida did Florida things. And Walter Clayton Jr. is every bit as good as advertised. Auburn, by the way, if you look at this one for Auburn, you kind of have to say missed opportunities prevented you from playing in a national championship game. You turn the ball over 12 times in the second half, most of any half all year. 8 second half points in the paint after having 26 in the first half. Empty possession after empty possession down the stretch. Really just kind of doomed it for Auburn. And frankly, we talked about the lack of depth for Auburn at times this year, and it just wore down Florida. Depth and size wore down Auburn in the second half.
They did. I mean, it's just, I said this, I thought that's why Florida was the best team in the SEC, and they are. Certainly Auburn will hang the banner for winning the Southeastern Conference by a game, but the Florida Gators won the SEC tournament. The Florida Gators were 2-0 against Auburn.
Yeah.
If Florida had played Auburn in Gainesville, they'd have been 3-0 against Auburn. They're the best team. I mean, they were better than Alabama as well. I said it. I thought that the only two teams I saw that were better than Alabama equivocally during the year were Florida and certainly Duke. But Duke, did not finish that game against Houston. Ironically, both Auburn and Alabama beat Houston. And that just shows you how good at times during the season that Alabama and Auburn were. I do think at one time during the year, Alabama was playing well enough to be a Final Four team. And I believe through, much of maybe November, December, and at least half of January, Auburn was probably the best team in the country. But it's so funny how basketball is. It's such a long journey.
Yes.
That it's almost when you finally get healthy and when you finally get on a roll, hopefully to win it, it's at the end of the season. And in many cases, you have to be consistent to make the journey to get to the end and play for it all. But I think you also need to be healthy, get some breaks along the way. And I
off and Coach Sampson playing Alabama's playing the
People thought, well, once they the SEC, it's going to be a little bit different because they weren't challenged like Auburn. They weren't challenged like Alabama. They weren't challenged like the Houstons or the Dukes in the non-conference schedule. And so a lot of people weren't sold on what Florida was bringing to the table because they hadn't played that schedule, but they're just as good. They're every bit as good as the Dukes, the Houstons. I mean, they've proven that.
And the funny thing about Florida is probably the two best teams they played out of league. They beat them, but they played North Carolina, but North Carolina wasn't the Tar Heels,
right?
But they beat them by 6 on a neutral floor. And then the best team, the best win they had was the Big Ten tournament champion Michigan Wolverines. They beat the Michigan Wolverines on a neutral floor, so that was a really good win. And don't forget, I went back and looked at their schedule. They were 0-1 in the SEC. They had to open in Rupp Arena, which is never easy.
Right.
And that's when Kentucky was healthiest under Mark Pope and had already beaten the likes of Duke and people of that nature. And so they lost 106-100 at an extremely high level, and that's in regulation, everybody. 106-100 to Kentucky, but then proceeded to go 17-3, and I'm counting the SEC tournament.
Yeah, they only lost to Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri.
So they only lost 3 games.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the rest of the whole season.
Yes.
Their 4 losses were in the SEC. They went undefeated and out of conference. So after that opening loss on the road, counting the SEC tournament, which they went through 3 games, they went 17-3 in the toughest league in the country.
Yeah.
And there you go. And then,
I think people turned their heads when they just blasted Tennessee by 30
they beat them
some points.
73-43. But the biggest, shot her around the bow was on February the 8th when they won at Auburn.
Yes.
Because everybody thought they were really good, but then they were elite when they went to the jungle and beat Auburn, because that's at the time, Scott, that you could argue Auburn was still the best team in the country, had been drilling everybody, had only
in a row
lost
at
to
number
Duke,
one.
really, and that was a very high level game in Cameron Indoor. They lost by 6. But I think overall, that was when everybody knew. And don't forget, they didn't have Ham Lockton and Elijah Martin. You saw Elijah Martin, a couple of posters on Saturday night against the Auburn Tigers. And now that young man, he'll play for his first national championship, but don't forget it's his second Final Four.
Yeah, the first player, we told you on Friday, first player to start in 2 Final Fours, one for FAU and one for Florida.
And then
which
LJ
I don't think
Cryer,
is going to be something now that is going to be a first and only. I think we're going to see that a few more times with the transfer portal.
Well, and then LJ Cryer, speaking of the portal, he did not start for that Baylor team that won the what would be called the COVID tournament, because it was a little bit different, as we all know. It was played all in one location, the whole tournament in Indianapolis. But remember that year they beat an undefeated Gonzaga team in the finals. LJ Cryer didn't start. He was a bench guy that was a role player on that Baylor team, but he got a national championship ring. This time, he's one of the 2 to 3 best players for Houston. He's a starter, and now he'll be playing, and he's playing in his second Final Four, second national championship game, and he has a chance. I don't think anybody's ever done that, to win 2 national championships in basketball at 2 separate schools. So if Houston does that tonight, LJ Cryer, he's going to be doing something that, because there's been guys transfer from national championship teams, but not to another program that I think won it all. So that would be a unique part of history for LJ Cryer tonight, as well as the Cougars. And don't forget, this is the Cougars' 7th Final Four, and they haven't won this. They're going for their first national championship tonight. Florida would be going for their 3rd, because the great Billy Donovan won back-to-back in 06 and 07. But this could be some big-time history for Jim Nantz and his undefeated sweatshirt.
Yeah, Houston, let's get a first break in. We'll run down some of the history of the Houston Cougars and national championship games, and we'll check in with Bruce Pearl for comments after Auburn's setback on Saturday. Continuing to get the table set for tonight's national championship game. It's 97.7 ESPN The Zone's Talking Ball, live from Bill Penny Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still showing a wreck in Lauderdale County, 72 westbound at County Road 107. That's at Center Star. It's affecting east and westbound traffic. They cleared the wreck northbound coming out of Decatur between Hudson Memorial and the North Y. It's gone now. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games, and if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Carrabba's Italian Grill is the best place to enjoy authentic Italian cuisine, passed down from our founders' family recipes. Featuring a wood-burning grill, you can enjoy Carrabba's signature dishes, including chicken brine, wood-fired grilled steak and chops, and classic Italian pasta dishes. Have a special event? Elevate your catering with Carrabba's Catering, the perfect way to enjoy large party portions of your favorite hand-prepared dishes for any event. Carrabba's Italian Grill at Parkway Place, Huntsville.
I'm here with Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. With the temperatures going up and temperatures going down right now, now is a good time to get your heating and air system looked at. Thomas, when somebody calls, you guys answer.
That's right. The phones are staffed by us. They're manned 24/7. We're ready to come out and take care of you that day.
How do they give you guys a call?
You give us a call at 256-503-4490.
And you can find you guys on the World Wide Web at
talenthvac.com.
And now is a good time to do this because you guys are offering a special deal.
That's right. We're doing $49 tune-ups this spring. We're also doing free second opinions. We offer that year-round. Somebody comes out, they say you got a back compressor, leaking refrigerant. Give us a call, see if we can save you some money.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. Thomas, one more time, that phone number.
256-503-4490. AL certain number 21014.
From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
In ecstasy, don't stop me now. Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time. Shooting into the sky like a tiger.
Welcome back. Talking Ball at 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're hanging out here at the Bill Penny Toyota Service Department Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. They'll service your vehicle. And if you roll it on in now, if you need those new tires, if you're looking or thinking about getting new tires, now would be the time to do so, because if you buy 3, you get that 4th one for just $1 here at Bill Penny Toyota. Bill Penny Toyota, they will be a part of our 97.7 ESPN The Zone Eagle Installation Charity Golf Tournament that we'll be having at Cherokee Ridge coming up on the 21st. Remember, we're going to be out there at Cherokee Ridge on the 21st of April. In just 2 weeks, we will be out there swinging the clubs. If you want to be a part of it, just give us a call. We'll figure it out. $800 will get you into the tournament, and you can have a foursome, enjoy some of the great food, the fun, the prizes. It's all for good cause, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's our charity golf scramble. So we want you to be a part of it. Bill Penny Toyota is going to be out there. They've got a foursome. We want you to be out there as well. 256-576-4977. That's how you can join us this morning. Jeff from the Borough is with us. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
I'm hoping Houston wins. I don't know if they can stop Clayton. I don't know if they can stop him or not. He's a really great scoring guard. And,
nobody's been able to stop him so far.
Nobody has. I'm saying nobody has. I hope Houston can. They're pretty good defensively, but I don't
they are.
I don't think
There's no question about that.
I don't think staying in front of him, and Florida's got some pretty good cheers too. But people probably still can't believe Duke belt it. I still can't believe that Duke lost that ball game. That's just I couldn't believe Houston came back, but they just never quit. That's just part of it. So and everything. So I know, but guys, I told y'all about Auburn. Auburn, they couldn't do it. I mean, they falls down the stretch, couldn't make free throws, and I told y'all they had players, but didn't have the coach, and that's just the way it is. And I mean, but the SEC had a good year, but to me, they've got to win it. They got to win it tonight. If they don't, if you put 14 teams in, you can't win the tournament. Something's wrong with you. But that's just how. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know the national perception of the SEC still is going to be that they had a great year, but I mean, if you don't win it all, I mean, or something, you just can't. I mean, especially a team like Houston's never won it. The 83 team they had was the best team and never won it. and then
80, yeah, they've gotten there in 83 and 84. Hakeem Olajuwon played on both of those teams.
Yep, he
Clyde Drexler joined him for the 83 team. It was Clyde
83
and
was one of
Hakeem.
maybe the biggest upset, even more so than Villanova in a lot of ways.
You don't know in '84, but also, what you guys think about the get the Olajuwon off the court after the game, didn't they?
Yeah, I saw him in the first row though. It's cool to see him there.
Yeah, he wanted to get on the court and celebrate with the team, but the security guard there would not let him on the court. He was on the steps ready to walk up on the court, and the security guard was like, nope. And then they were trying to explain to him. Everyone from Houston was trying to explain that this is Hakeem Olajuwon.
He probably didn't know. He probably didn't. He probably didn't know Hakeem Olajuwon from, I don't know.
They knew who he was, but they didn't know who he was.
He's only one of the top 20 greatest players of all time, the best player in Houston history. But don't know who Hakeem Olajuwon is. But who knows? I mean, he may not. I mean, it may be a guy, a security guard that's just not a basketball guy. Some aren't. I don't know, man. But to me, it's like, dang, I would have thought that they would have had him like a credential already.
If you're Houston, why don't you have him something to?
Or like if you're Telvin Sampson, hey, somebody slap him upside his head and tell him that's Hakeem Olajuwon and let him up here, please. I mean, just like they put Jim Nance in the team picture. Right. He's Jim friggin' Nance.
Right.
I mean, come on.
That was his son too, walking to that arena Saturday. I think it was his son or grandson or whatever, walking and watching that ball, and that was really a neat and showing him during the ball game, but before the ball game too. That was real neat seeing him in that hoodie that he wore, the Houston hoodie he wore. He's a big alum from school. But a good name. Hopefully a good championship game tonight, guys. So
see you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
Jeff,
a good game.
So Jeff just said that the SEC has to win this tonight. You said earlier that the SEC's already had the best run, or would it be an all-time run if they win? Do they have to win it tonight to submit the 14
in
teams?
some ways, maybe to for a runaway where there's really not a debate,
right?
Because I don't think there should be, because it was a record teams getting in. I don't care about the win percentage because you had so many teams,
right?
But I mean, you had the most teams get to the Sweet 16. You had half of the Elite Eight. You had half the Final Four, and you got a participant in the national championship game. But I will say this: if Houston wins it, boy, they earned it. They are far and away. They're the best team in the country at the right time if they win this, because all one seeds, they've got about, I think this is 18 in a row they've got coming into this game.
Yeah.
And you would have beaten the SEC champion. And this is the best team in the SEC. Okay. They went 4-0 against Alabama and Auburn. All right. And then now they didn't play Kentucky twice. Kentucky got them when Kentucky was healthy. There's no doubt about that. But we talked about that big three, and they went 1-1 against Tennessee. Blew them out once, got whipped once. But see, that's you're 5-1 against that big four, okay? And then if you count Kentucky, who made the Sweet 16, 5-2. But still, I mean, to me, Houston would be an out. And then Houston would have lost to Alabama and Auburn, but then they would have beat Duke. They would have beaten Florida, and coming from the Big 12. I mean, this is, right now, the two best teams in Houston history have got to be, I guess it's a trio, 83, 84, and then this one.
Well, it has to be, yeah. Those are the only two times. This is their third national championship appearance.
Yeah.
They yet to have won a title, but this is their third time getting to the title game.
But I still like Florida. I'm going to go with Florida. I can give bulletin board material, I guess, to Coach Sampson and Coach Champagne. I really love what the Houston program's about, though, because, what I love about Kelvin Sampson, it's not about, he wants to, to win games. And of course, you want to be the bigger team, but he looks at more the makeup of the player, how hard do they play. He doesn't worry about, okay, I've got to have the most size. Of course, he wants length and things of that nature, but it's what Coach Champagne has told us throughout this journey. It's more about the mindset of the kid.
Yes.
And a great example is late in that game where Duke had a disaster turnover trying to pass the ball to Cooper Flagg. It was a terrible inbounds play, and Houston knocked it away, and Houston kicks it out, and they try a three, and they miss it. But guess what? There was one Houston Cougar under the – watch this, Scott, right here. This is the exact play I'm talking about. Boom.
Yes.
He misses it, and then that free throw shooter right there, Roberts, 60-something%, and he makes them both. That's Houston Cougar basketball. Make the free throws when they count, and then you miss a three, and yet you got a kid outworking 2 lottery picks. Where's Malawatch? Where's Cooper Flagg? And he dunks it back in to cut it to 1. He just kept. It was just like a vice. It was like a boa constrictor. That's what they continue to do.
And
is
Duke
put
kept
pressure.
getting tighter and tighter.
And I just
tighter
kept watching.
and
I was
tighter.
like, Duke's going to end up blowing it. I was like, it just doesn't look good.
All right, we got to get a break in. I know we got more phone callers, but let's get a break in. When we get back, we'll get to Richard. We'll get to B Rich. We've got them all coming in. Plus, we got messages coming in as well. We got all kinds of stuff. It's 97.7 ESPN The Zone's Talking Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Clouds are going to gradually decrease throughout the day. It looks like we'll see a little bit of sunshine before the sun sets for this Monday. High temperature is going to be warming into the upper 50s. It could get breezy at times. Heading into Monday night, expect to sit under a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures falling into the upper 30s for the overnight. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still showing a wreck in Lauderdale County, 72 westbound at County Road 107. That's at Center Star. It's affecting east and westbound traffic. They cleared the wreck northbound coming out of Decatur between Hudson Memorial and the North Y. It's gone now. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where AFS comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at afsrepair.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details. Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve. And we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army, who played and later coached
boost for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
Now is the time to sign up for the Eagle Installation WZZN Charity Golf Tournament to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This year's event is the morning of April 21st at Cherokee Ridge, and each member of the winning team not only gets the championship belt, but a full year membership to Cherokee Ridge. Breakfast and lunch are provided, plus tremendous prizes and a chance to win $100,000. Cost is $800 a team or $200 per individual, and corporate sponsorships are available. Send an email to 977WZZNevents@gmail.com to reserve your spot today.
Hold your block until the whistle blows.
From SEC Media Days to the National Championship Game.
This was a great team win.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the program. Got a lot of stuff still in store for you. We've been talking a lot about the Final Four, Auburn's setback to Florida, Houston's comeback against Duke. And by the way, the largest deficits to overcome in a Final Four game, where does that one stand for Houston coming back on Duke? Well, 22 points is the largest deficit to overcome in a Final Four game. Yes, guess.
2001,
yes.
Duke in Maryland.
Yes, 22 points.
I was thinking that game was a shellacking and it was over, and it was Jay Williams and Shane Battier and crew. It was the first half. Maryland was just unbelievably hot.
And would be Gary Williams there leading the Maryland Terrapins.
Yeah, exactly. And the next year, ironically, Maryland won the national championship. But in 01, they were destroying Duke. And Duke came back, won that game, actually cut the lead down by halftime.
That would have been an ACC matchup, correct, right? And I'm wondering, that probably would have been, the third time or fourth time they played each other. That I would assume the third time they played each other that year.
It was Juan Dixon in Maryland, and Duke came back. That's the one I remember the most, thinking, wow, I just could not believe Duke came back from down 22 points to win that game.
The second one was 18 points. That was in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
Duke also involved in that one.
But lost to Seton Hall?
Seton Hall, correct.
Wow.
And then in 2022, it was Kansas in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
In 1963, Loyola Chicago versus Cincinnati. That was 15 points. And then in 2025, Houston and Duke, 14. So fifth biggest deficit to overcome in a Final Four game.
And Seton Hall went on to lose that national championship game in '89 to Michigan.
Yep. That was PJ Carlissimo, if I'm not mistaken,
Andrew
for Seton
Gaze,
Hall. And
Terry Walker, Terry DeHare, all those
Bill
guys.
Frieder, right, for Michigan.
He
was out, and then he got put out, and then
right before the tournament.
Yep.
That's right.
And then the interim coach is on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember. I can't remember because he ended up coaching for several years there at Michigan, and I can't remember for the life. I can't remember the name.
Come on,
I can't. It's not going to happen. I can't do it.
You could do it.
No.
Come on.
Oh my gosh. Because it was Ramil Rice was on that team.
Ramil Robinson,
Glenn Rice.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't, because it was a surprise run for them to get there. Nobody thought they would because of the coaching change. PJ Carlissimo takes Seton Hall, ends up going to the NBA a few years later. Does Carlissimo? I can't. It's who is it? I'm trying to talk my mind into remembering who it is, and I can't.
Come on,
I can't remember who it is.
Come on, Steve Fisher.
Steve Fisher.
Come on.
Steve Fisher then goes on to San Diego
Hall of Famer
State.
at San Diego State. Reached the national championship game. As far as he didn't do that, but Brian Dutcher, who recruited the Fab Five and who went to the national championship game just about 3 years ago. He built that program, though. He did go on a run with Kawhi Leonard, if you remember. Did Steve Fisher? But yeah, Steve Fisher was the one that took over. He was an assistant to Bill Frieder. The press conference is still vivid in my mind when Bo Schembechler said a Michigan man's going to coach a Michigan team, and nobody thought at the time that Michigan was going to win the national championship. They weren't thought to be a favorite, but Steve Fisher kind of showing that you never know until you get your opportunity. And he spent several years at Michigan. Then he got fired there. Then he ended up out at San Diego State under the radar.
Yeah. Yep.
Took Coach Dutcher with him, and the rest is history. But Steve Fisher, Scott, I was trying to give you a chance there.
I remember that Final Four. It was played in Seattle. That Final Four was Seton Hall, Michigan, and Duke, and everybody. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Richard is with us. Good morning, Richard.
Richard, I know you knew that. I just was trying to give Scott a chance.
I could not. Now it's in my mind, but I just could not. I knew.
I think they actually played in Atlanta, Michigan, and I actually went to the game because Alabama kind of got cheated by the refs against South Alabama.
That's a first round game that I still don't like to remember.
Michigan, Michigan won it all. See what you're talking about, Houston. I think they lost 4 times this year. Is that right?
That's correct. They're 36 and 35 and 4. 35 and 4. Excuse me.
Yeah, 35 and
3 of the losses, except for the Auburn loss, the other 3 are in overtime.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Yep. So they only lost 1 game in regulation,
and they've only lost. Houston has only lost 1 since the start of December.
Mm-hmm.
You can back that up, and they've only lost 1 since the start of December. And you're right, that was an overtime loss to Texas Tech on February 1st.
And we figured out how good Texas Tech was because they could have easily made the Final Four. Yeah.
One thing about those early losses, basically, the point guard wasn't playing. Uzan wasn't playing that well.
Wasn't playing well. Yeah.
He's the reason. They lost to Alabama and Auburn, and so it was just kind of he was. Kind of building the team and, getting to play. But basically, once he started playing, more like Shed did the year before, that's when they basically haven't lost hardly since. So,
and it's hard to believe that Kelvin Sampson has been to the Final Four now 3 times, but this is his first visit to the championship game. And I know people, and especially Auburn fans, are disappointed because Auburn now has been there twice. They've yet to get to the championship game. They came close against Virginia. They came close against Florida, and they have not gotten to the championship game. But this is Kelvin Sampson's, he's been to the Final Four 3 times, his first championship game. It's hard to get to this title game. It's hard to win that 1 game in the Final Four to get to the title game.
Tell you one thing. I know Flag is great. Broom is great. But, for clutch, Walter Clayton is better than either one of those guys. Clutch.
Well, I'll just say this, and I've thought about it, but if Florida could find a way to win the national championship and he have another, Walter Clayton type game, no question, Richard, I think even though we all know the greatness of the 06 and 07 Gator teams, but I think Walter Clayton would be the greatest Gator of them all.
Oh yeah.
I think.
One thing is he's 6'1". Broom and Flag are 6'9", and Clayton's got tall guys in front of him, and he doesn't care. You need a 3 to kind of win the game. He's got 4 hands in his face, and and he knocks it down.
Yeah, he's unreal. You watched him several times live. I was blessed to have seen him play against Alabama a few times, and then you just when you see it, like I was in Nashville like you were this year. I was behind the backboard when he got the alley-oop against Missouri, and he had half his body above the rim. He's much more athletic than people give him credit for. These idiot NBA people. That don't have him in the first round, they all should be fired.
I actually sat by a scout at one of the games of the SEC tournament. I said, I hope you guys are interested in Clayton. I don't know what you guys aren't seeing. And he didn't really answer me, but I don't know what you guys aren't seeing or whatever. I think he's great.
No, I don't care if he's only 6'1".
Where I was one game.
Yeah.
Out there, but he's unbelievable. and what he does. And really, I mean, if it weren't for Clayton, they wouldn't even be playing tonight. I mean, those others, they should have lost 2 times.
Well, and I'll be honest with you. If you watched the body language late in the game against Auburn, and Thomas Howks had a great tournament, but he didn't want to shoot. Like he was passing up shots. He did not shoot the free throws well down the stretch. He was trying to get the ball to Clayton.
Oh yeah,
as fast as he could.
I would too,
because they all want to get it to him because they know he's the man. He's the closer.
Here's what, one thing on Houston, and you can't tell just watching on TV, but it seems like whenever they even have a bad call or a foul against them, they just keep playing. You go
they do.
Teams and you know where I'm going, but they complain about every call. I've never fouled. I think it's just Sampson. Play the next play. Don't complain.
Yeah.
You don't see him crying about every call.
No.
Going over and talking to the referees.
Sampson handles the refs. He tells the players to play.
And it's you watch Houston play, and it's a physical style. They're going to play physical. They're going to body you up. They're going to play tough. They're going to get in your face, and they're going to play physical. And that's why tonight I think it's going to be fantastic because Florida kind of wants to get out and run a little bit. Houston's not afraid to run, but Florida's not afraid to be physical as well. So it's got every piece of everybody's almost kind of the same. And it's going to be an interesting matchup tonight to see how it unfolds.
See you guys later.
Thank you, Richard.
All right. Thanks, Richard. All right. 7:47. Let's get a break in. It's Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond live from Bill Penny.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a new wreck, 431 at Hobbs Island Road. That one is coming in as a no injury. And we got another one northbound now on the Hudson Memorial Bridge coming out of Decatur. No injury reported in either one of those. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
I'm here with Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. With the temperatures going up and temperatures going down right now, now is a good time to get your heating and air system looked at. Thomas, when somebody calls, you guys answer.
That's right. The phones are staffed by us. They're manned 24/7. We're ready to come out and take care of you that day.
How do they give you guys a call?
You give us a call at 256-503-4490.
And you can find you guys on the World Wide Web at
talenthvac.com.
And now is a good time to do this because you guys are offering a special deal.
That's right. We're doing $49 tune-ups this spring. We're also doing free second opinions. We offer that year-round. Somebody comes out, they say you got a bad compressor, leaking refrigerant. Give us a call, see if we can save you some money.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. Thomas, one more time, that phone number.
256-503-4490.
AL certain number 21014.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball at 87.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, 7:51 on this Monday morning. And boy, oh boy, it's only 48 degrees outside today as you make your way into work, into school. Your high today is only 54. And where's the sunshine going?
Well, all I know is Johnny Boy and I were over at the expo on Saturday from 12 to 2, and it was 82 friggin' degrees.
Oh, it was beautiful out doing
the
softball.
Fishing Game Expo.
It was
man.
It was awesome doing some softball on Friday and Saturday, being out there in the sunshine. I was like, man, this is great. We've hit the spring weather. We've kind of on that verge of summer, and then all of a sudden you wake up today and you're like,
it's winter again.
It's this is ridiculous. Your high today and tomorrow is 54 and 53. We won't see the 70s probably until next week when we get back in the high 70s. So
yeah, but I was talking to one of the handlers. And by the way, Red Crest did a great job with that expo. I mean, they brought us a couple of the best anglers in the business. One a veteran, one a 22-year-old. John did a great job interviewing them, and they were very hospitable to us. It was extremely well run. And I'm gonna tell you what I wasn't prepared for, but I adapted.
Yeah,
I had to park down there near the old building and walk a good
I
old
should have
ways.
told you on that. Parking down there is atrocious.
No, it is, but it was free. So trust me, the garages were full. I went around the whole place. It was full, man. And the gentleman, the parking attendant, was nice. He said, look, I can't let anybody in until I see somebody leave. So it was crazy. I mean, John had to park a good ways away. We both did, had to figure it out. But yeah, parking is atrocious, but it was full. In that South Hall, man, there was people and stuff, exhibits everywhere. It was an enjoyable show. We actually had a couple of guests via phone. We talked Final Four. Then we talked Major League Fishing and, this expo. Yeah. It was crazy.
Well, the big story that did come out of the weekend was that Texas A&M did fill their head coaching vacancy
with a very familiar name.
Very, very familiar name. Now, only time will tell if it will be successful or not. But I can tell you this for sure. Texas A&M went from one end of the spectrum for style of play to the complete other end of the spectrum when it comes for style of play. Buzzball or Buzz Williams basketball is a very deliberate style, very attacking style, very slow style, get to the free throw line and kind of grind them out. And sometimes it's not very pretty to watch. Bucky McMillan goes from Samford to Texas A&M. And I don't know, to me, it was a surprise hire. Bucky McMillan this past offseason ended up with the agents of all agents. And if those that follow college sports know the agent of all agent, and that is Jimmy Sexton.
Yeah.
And,
he's under that tree now.
Yeah, when he did that during this past offseason, and his name was attached to, I found out over the weekend, his name was attached to NC State. His name was attached to
Florida State
as well. And then it became Texas A&M. So when you get Jimmy Sexton as your agent, you ain't staying in one place for long. And Bucky McMillan now at Texas A&M.
Yeah, 4 years, $19 million. Congrats to Bucky. 5 years, $19 million. Let me correct myself there. But, great opportunity for Bucky in the SEC. I think everybody thought, that he would eventually be taking that jump. And he's bringing Mitch Cole with him. And I thought Mitch Cole, his longtime assistant, been there with him for 5 years. I thought he might, be on the short list of, keep the job or take the job at Samford. But he's going back to A&M. He actually was there under Billy Kennedy when Billy Kennedy had a good 8-year run there. So he's had success, knows Aggieland well, can help direct Bucky and help him, as he makes this transition. So,
and Kyle Keller is also going to join him as well. And he was there under Billy Kennedy.
So we'll see. So he's already got some familiar guys on his staff that know A&M. And what the kind of the collateral damage this, unfortunately, is a guy like Caleb Harrison. Love him, man. One of the best players in Crimson Panther history. He redshirted there this year, but he's not going with them to A&M. So he's now in the transfer portal. And I was able to tweet that out yesterday, post that. And look, he never played this year for Bucky. He was looking forward to doing it at Samford. He was devastated when they left. But this is part of it's the good and the bad, because it's bad because the young guy signed with Bucky's staff. He was very excited to play at his mother's alma mater and go ahead and become a Samford Bulldog and help them continue to become one of the best mid-majors in the country. But then the coaching staff leaves, but you're not stuck. In the old days, you'd be stuck. He can go into the portal and check out his options. I know he's already talked to a handful of mid-major programs. So we'll see where Caleb's journey takes him. But he's definitely going to have options, being 6'9", multi-skilled, and now a year older. Even though he didn't get any court time, he certainly learned under Bucky. So he should be able to land on his feet. Just you hate that he didn't get the chance to play for the guy that he signed up to play for. Yeah. But certainly Caleb Harrison still with a bright future.
We talked about Texas A&M. We talked about the fact that they throw money. They've got money. They've got all this stuff. They got the resources.
Are they going to commit to basketball,
though? Texas A&M has been a hard place to win at, regardless of the sport. I mean, football, and when we talk football and basketball, it's been a hard sport. That's it. Time will tell if he can get it going there at Texas A&M. It's been a hard place.
Well, look, he went to Samford, and they hadn't won in 10 years plus. Yeah. They had been awful. And he certainly injected energy there and was able to get them to the big dance where they really should have beaten a really good Kansas team in round one. So, last year. So, Bucky had 3 20-win seasons, 5 really good years, and now he's getting a chance on the biggest stage.
All right, when we come back, we're going to head to San Antonio. The Houston Cougars, they've got walkthroughs. They've got team meetings. They've got all kinds of stuff as they get ready for tonight's championship game with Florida. Bobby Champagne going to carve out a few minutes for us. Next, it's Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Florida, a 1-point favorite over Houston in the NCAA tournament title game tonight at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. The total 141.5. Will the game go to overtime? No, the heavy favorite minus 3,500. Yes, the underdog at 9-1. Scotty Scheffler 4-1 with the Masters this week at Augusta National. Rory McIlroy plus 650. John Rahm 14-1. Danny Hamlin won the Goodyear 400 at Darlington yesterday. This week, the Cup Series headed to Bristol for the Food City 500. Kyle Larson is a 4-1 favorite to win the NASCAR Cup Series title, headed to Bristol this week. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Hour 2 officially underway as we get you going and get you ready for tonight's national championship game. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center helping us out. They are the official medical providers for the UAH Chargers and the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Both of them you can hear right here throughout the seasons on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Give them a call or find them online at sportsmedalabama.com. Tonight, national championship game, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We'll have that game for you as well. It all takes place in San Antonio. We've talked a lot about it. 2 number 1 seeds going at it. Number 1 Florida, number 1 seed Houston. Both of them very entertaining ball games to get to the national championship. 3rd time now, or if I should say, third time or 4th time for Kelvin Sampson in the Final Four. First time in the national championship. Florida, we all know their history, but man, oh man, what a comeback by the Cougars on Saturday night. What a comeback.
No doubt. It was tremendous, and our next guest has joined us throughout the journey, and he told us basically what their goal was, and that was to get this game, put game pressure on them and get it to the final 3 or 4 minutes, and Houston won the game. It was like a prize fight. They wore Duke down. They continued to defend. There was nothing that could stop them, not a technical foul, even being down 9 with under 3 minutes to go. This is a team that just has they're the mentally toughest team in all of college basketball. And we've been honored to be joined by Bobby Champagne, who does an outstanding job as their director of strategy and operations for Kelvin Sampson. He's been with Coach 3 times. This will be the first national championship for Coach tonight, but I think everyone's happy for him. He's one of the ultimate grinders, and his team reflects him, and they certainly grinded out a huge win, one of the top 5 comebacks ever in the NCAA tournament in the Final Four over Duke. Well, Coach, congratulations, man.
Yes.
I know it's a big day for you, but thank you for joining us. What a win on Saturday.
Well, thanks for having me. It's pretty good to be waking up on a Monday morning, the last day of college basketball season, and team's still playing.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. It was fun seeing you there on the bench on Saturday, going through that. But just, I mean, the ups and downs. Take us through some of those ups and downs on Saturday.
Well, we didn't shoot it very good. Didn't play great at all in the first half, but we were only down 6. So I wasn't happy obviously in the first half, but didn't feel terrible going into it down 6. Obviously getting down double digits in the second half. We cut it to 3 at one point, and they call a timeout, and we kind of had them getting tired, and those sometimes those NCAA tournament timeouts work in your advantage. Sometimes they work against you. We kind of had them getting tired, and then we called a timeout, and they were shooting a free throw. We called a timeout, and then the next dead ball was another timeout. Well, the next dead ball was the made free throw. So we had a 2-minute timeout. We shot the free throw, made the free throw, and then had another 2-minute timeout. So they came back and went on a little 6-0 run. But it was the biggest comeback, or the largest comeback in Final Four history, was 14-point deficit, and it was fun to be a part of.
Well, I just thought the entire epitome of Houston's team was the unusual technical foul for the delay of game, and yet there was no hang-dogging, there was no surrender cobra, whatever you want to call it. Certainly, and I think that's a credit to Coach Sampson. No matter what happens, especially with the officiating or a decision, he handles the officials, the players. There's not a whole lot of complaining. They just kept playing. I thought that was huge, because a technical foul like that in an unusual circumstance can sometimes lead to deciding a game. And I just thought that that you guys just set your jaws and kept competing. I didn't think you skipped a beat, even though that call could have been a game changer.
Yeah, it could have been. It definitely put a little bit of doubt in my mind. It was like, oh boy, that's a big turnaround there. But our guys, like you said, Knippel makes a free throw. We go down and get a stop, and then come down and hit a three. So
huge threes.
Kind of huge basket for Emmanuel Sharp is what he's been doing all year. So our guys just kept fighting away, and yeah, they fought through a whole bunch of stuff earlier in the game. There was a turnover right in front of our bench, and Knippel kicked the ball out of bounds, and nobody reviewed it, and Duke got the ball back. But our guys just kind of kept playing through it. I did hear where some Duke fans were complaining about the officiating. I don't know. They shot a lot more free throws than I did. I don't know why they would complain about the officiating in that game. I thought all three guys did a pretty good job.
Yeah, considering the physicality, I did too.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, from me often. You don't hear that from me often.
I'll just say this. John Shaw needs to watch tape and watch the way you guys, defend inbounds plays, because that was unreal.
Yeah, it was kind of deja vu, and it's kind of funny. After the game, Hunter Dickinson was at the game, and he was walking by our locker room and stopped off and said congratulations. But he also said he was having PTSD from watching the end of the game, because it was almost exactly like the Kansas game. We steal the ball, and Malik Wilson is shooting a three. It was from the opposite wing that he made the three at Allen Fieldhouse, but we all thought it was going down. He missed it, and JoJo Tugler tip dunked it in. So it was a great finish.
Well, and that's the thing. We talked a lot about it leading into that game, that Duke hadn't been pressured like that in a lot of moments this year. Houston, you guys have had a few games like that this season where you've had to fight for all 40 minutes. I mean, you had to play that way. You've been battle tested. You've had great opponents to test you. Duke hadn't been in that situation a lot. And I think down the stretch, that was really made evident.
Yeah. Going into it, we knew that we had played 20 games in the Big 12, and most of our games were close, or at least a dogfight. Honestly, in the ACC, Louisville, Clemson, and the rival game with North Carolina, those were the only close games that they had, and really the close games that they had during the season, other than the Auburn game, they got beat. So we kind of felt, Coach going into it, didn't say it publicly, but just wanted to have the game close in the second half. It's kind of cliche, but you just want to have it close in the second half and have an opportunity to win. And you think you're going to have an opportunity to win it with your team. And that's basically what happened. We were right there with it.
And see, here's the thing. Joseph Tugler got that delay of game technical foul or whatnot, but he kept playing, and then that three that Cryer missed, he dunked back through with 2 or 3 lottery picks standing there. And he was the one that outworked him and dunked the ball. I thought that's when I thought, okay, Houston's fixing to win this game. They're just outworking Duke. And then when you guys fouled, I thought it was smart to foul Proctor and don't foul Knippel, don't foul, Cooper Flagg, foul Proctor, because he had been about a 70% free throw shooter. He was shaky, and I wasn't surprised when he missed the front end. And then Roberts, look, I know he only shoots 60-some%, but I also know how much Kelvin loves that guy. 6-year dude. I knew he was going to make those free throws, Coach. I don't know how confident y'all's bench was, but he just looked like to me he wasn't missing.
Well, you know, we went through a rough stretch. We went to Vegas. We lost to Auburn second game of the year. We went to Vegas the next week. We lost to Alabama. Lost to San Diego State. We got back from Vegas, and anybody that was shooting poorly from the free throw line, and that's why we lost all of those games was at the free throw line late. All of those games we had a lead late. All those guys make 150 free throws every day after practice, before practice, whatever. J1 obviously is one of those guys, and he made 2 big free throws at Kansas to put the game into overtime or to give us the lead. He's done that. He made 2 big free throws against Purdue in the NCAA tournament. So yeah, there was some confidence when he stepped to the line. Coach did a great job in the last 2-3 minutes of the game. The assistant coaches were talking to him about needing to foul and extend the game, and Coach was confident in our guys getting stops. Duke had 1 field goal in the field goal
last
in the
10+
10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And going back to the technical, the 3 of us don't have the problem that JoJo has. He's got a 7'6" wingspan, so you and I would never have reached across the line to hit that ball. He's just being aggressive and got that ball. But yeah, that was kind of put a little doubt in my mind that, boy, that was a big possession there. But we got to stop, and then Emmanuel hit the 3 to kind of cut the lead back. So a lot of fun.
Well, tonight the fun continues, and it's an amazing. I mean, like you said, 68 teams started this thing. We're down to 2. I mean, it's you guys and Florida. Speaking of Florida, though, Walter Clayton Jr. has had a phenomenal tournament, and you guys are about defense. What do you do defensively? What kind of scheme defensively do you try? And what does the matchup look like there for against Florida?
Well, you definitely have to stop him. He's the leading scorer in the tournament. You gotta limit his opportunities. He's going to get up a lot of shots. He in transition, you got to find him early and keep him from getting downhill. He's hit some big shots. You know, they were down 16, I believe, with 10 minutes to go against Texas Tech. And if he doesn't kind of take over the game, you know, we're probably playing Texas Tech tonight instead of Florida. But he's a big key, obviously. But you know, Florida's the number one offensive rebounding team in the country. So we've got to be sure we keep those bigs off the glass and limit their second chance opportunities. Those are big keys. Keeping Clayton from having a big night, keeping their bigs off the glass. Those are keys.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, and I thought the big key to beating Duke as well. I mean, you had only 9 turnovers, Coach, but you guys destroyed Duke on the glass, and Malawatch dominated the paint against Alabama, but he did not dominate it against Houston. You guys did a great job holding him to 6, and he had trouble finishing all night and getting rebounds.
Yeah, going back to JoJo Tugler, he had 0 rebounds in the first half. Finished the game with 8. I think 6 of those were offensive rebounds. So that was a big reason why we won the game. Was getting on the glass in the second half, and so we've got to get on the glass tonight. That's kind of the theme for us is be who we are. Just because it's the national championship game, we don't need to stray from what we do. It's a one-day prep. Not going to go and change a whole bunch of schemes and different things because it's Florida or whatever. We're gonna play our defense and obviously make some adjustments in the game and do some different things. But we got to be who we are. We've gotten to where we are, doing what we do, and can't all of a sudden change and try and do something different at this point.
No, the toughness, the culture, that's what it's about. Rebounding, defending, getting stops, and then controlling the tempo, because Florida is a very explosive offensive team, Coach. I've watched them several times, and they can be struggling offensively. Like you mentioned when they were down 16 to a really good Texas Tech team. that I know you guys had some wars with, and then they kind of explode. So it's one of those things where you can't ever really let up. And of course, Houston's not known for that. They're known for playing hard defense the entire time. But I thought much the way they slowed the pace against Duke and had Duke in the 60s, you got to keep Florida out of the mid-80s in this game.
Yeah, we've Gonzaga was a team that played at a high clip. Duke played at a high clip, and we were able to, even though we were down double digits against Duke, we kind of had the game at the pace that we needed it to. We don't mind playing fast, but
right,
we tend to kind of want the game at a certain pace, and it doesn't need to be pretty for us to win the game. So we kind of need to do the same thing tonight. Keep Florida from being comfortable for sure.
Well, what kind of day is this? I mean, I know it's a full day, but just kind of let the listeners a little bit kind of a peek behind the curtain. Yeah, I mean, the tip's late tonight. I mean, what do you guys do today, and what's the schedule look like for Houston?
This is, I don't know how many Final Fours I've been to, probably 25 or so, and since I started coaching, it's a whole lot more fun on this side of it. It's same kind of late night. Staying up late, but feel a whole lot better in the morning when I get up, if you know what I mean.
I do. Yep. Yes, sir.
But we let the guys sleep in a little bit today. Breakfast 9:30, 10 o'clock. We've got shoot around at what do we got? 2:30 to 3:30. And
now, do you guys do that at the Alamo Dome?
Yep. That's the one thing that has been good. We got an hour and a half practice yesterday in the Alamo Dome. We get an hour shoot around today. We got a good hour and a half going into the semifinal game and an hour shoot around. So it's been good. We've been able to get on that court a few times. So our guys have gotten used to the rims and the backdrop. Obviously, the practices, there's not 66,000 people in there. The one open to the public practice that we had, it was a good, 5, 6, 7,000 people in there, and good atmosphere with the bands and stuff in there. But it's been good that we've been able to get in there and shoot a little bit. San Antonio is a great town for the Final Four. Everything's within walking distance. Our hotel is packed with Cougs, and every time we go anywhere, there's a police escort, and there's fans all over in the lobby. So anytime the guys are moving to the bus, they're getting there. It's kind of like a pep rally everywhere we go, and it's a lot of fun. San Antonio does a great job of making the experience great. When we get the opportunity to cut down the nets tonight, they're going to load us on a bus, and we're going to get on the Riverwalk and have a championship parade on the Riverwalk. And it'll go late into the night tonight with the parade and everything. So
that's awesome.
It's been a great experience. It's been a great experience going all the way into the last day of the college basketball season.
Well, Coach, all we're going to say is we let you go before we let you go. We talked about this before you came on. Please tell the security guards to let Akeem Olajuwon on the stage. Okay,
right,
please.
So tell me about that, because I kind of heard that there was a little bit of an issue with that. I wasn't even paying attention, but
right.
That Akeem has come to a lot of our home games. We hadn't seen him much this year. I did see him at the game. Obviously, we got him some tickets, and he had some pretty good seats. And he greeted our guys as they were coming off the court. Jim Nance was at the game and has been a big supporter of ours. But so there was a big deal with Akeem not being able to get on the court.
Yeah,
they wouldn't let him on the stage.
He wanted to come up on the court when you guys you guys won that game, and the security guard kept looking at him and telling him, "No, you can't come up there." And you could see them literally trying to explain to him that this is Akeem Olajuwon, and the guy kept shaking his head, saying, "No, sorry, can't let him up there."
We got to have Dream on the floor, man.
So tonight they will issue 75 wristbands to people who can get up on the court.
Wow.
Yeah, 75 wristbands. So, we'll have to figure out who those 75 people are, and maybe Akeem will be lucky enough to get it. The problem with Akeem is he travels with a lot of people. And a couple years ago, we're playing Alabama at home, and he calls. It was a 1:00 game. He calls at 11 o'clock on game day and says, "Hey, I'd like to have 10 courtside seats." So, it could be a little rough explaining to a team, "Here's your one wristband. And you can come up on the court."
Well, we'd love to see him out there, the greatest Cougar of them all. But
goodness.
hopefully this will be the greatest Cougar team of them all there
Yeah.
tonight, because we appreciate the time. Good luck tonight. And we certainly are going to be rooting for the Cougs. Go Cougs.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks, Bobby Champagne, kind enough to wake up with us in San Antonio.
Elijah one on there.
Can you imagine that though? How cool would that be tonight though? Because I imagine whoever wins, if Florida wins or Houston wins, they're going to get to cut the nets down, and then they're going to get to have their parade on the Riverwalk there in San Antonio right after the game, after all the celebration.
Well,
that's going to be
all these.
That's going to be awesome.
I would imagine. Look, and this is a huge deal for Florida, but I would imagine, of the 66,000 Coach was talking about, I would think at least 50 of them would be Houston fans.
You would think. I mean, what, 3 hours away, 2.5? I mean, whatever, maybe.
And Duke fans having to sell their tickets because they all thought they were going to be there, and then Tyrese Choker happened.
Oh, I got to get a break in. Great stuff from Bobby Champagne this morning. Great stuff. 75 wristbands for those that want to get on the court after the game. That's how they're doing it.
Well,
75 wristbands.
I mean, you think they could at least get a Cuban baby?
But he calls them 2 hours before the game and says, "I need 10 courtside
But here's the
seats."
problem. I think that arena for Houston only holds 7,000 people, not 66. You can look that up, but I think it's a small arena like Baylor's.
I don't know. Let's get a break in. We'll fill you in when we return. Talkin' Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still showing a couple of wrecks. Got 431 at Hobbs Island Road, and we got 31 northbound on the Hudson Memorial Bridge coming out of Decatur. Both of them should be clearing shortly. Everything else is in order this morning. You be careful on your trip in. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, "If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself."
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
We are your home for March Madness.
Baker 3 won't go. Loose. Scrum. Hunter. Drive. Lays it in at the buzzer. It's not enough. McGee's for the upset.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Little Journey coming back.
The one and only Steve Perry.
Oh, man. I don't know why some of these 80 bands still try to tour the country and put replacement singers in there.
Well, I think,
from
what I understand now, he's had some health issues. I'm not sure that his voice is the same, but
Right.
he has one of the most unmistakable ones in history.
Gosh. All right, 256-576-4977. If you want to join the program, you can join it here on Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Again, we're live from Bill Penny Toyota Service Department. You buy those 3 tires, they'll give you that 4th one for just $1. That's right. Just hand them $1, and they'll give you 4 tires if you buy 3 of them. April 30th is how long that deal will go on. So you got the whole month of April to get on in here and enjoy that. We have been getting you ready for the national championship game tonight, Florida and Houston, in a game that'll happen right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We can tell you this, though, that the Final Four on Saturday was one of the most watched Final Fours, and it was the most watched Final Four since 2017. Saturday's game between Auburn and Florida was the most watched early Final Four game since 2017. It averaged 14.6 million viewers. That was up 27%. And then the Houston-Duke game, by the way, was the most watched game of the 2025 tournament, as it averaged 16 million viewers. That was up 13%. Overall, the Final Four averaged 15.3 million viewers, and it peaked at 20.4 million there. So, I mean, the Final Four has been a fantastic ratings bonanza for those involved.
No, it always is. And again, no matter who's in the finals, you always watch. I mean, I always do, because it's my first memory of sports as a kid is Jimmy V. And I didn't even know what the hell was going on. Speaking of that, that's Houston by Slamma Jamma. And I said it last week. I think the 83 and 84 Houston teams are, and I think Jeff from the Borough said it earlier in the show in the first hour, that's the best team to never win it, to me. And
Of the whole of any team?
Of how good those teams were under Guy Lewis. It's something that Guy Lewis had to kind of live down.
Would you say that those trump the Fab Five from Michigan?
Yes. I think, in the Fab Five, they went to 2 straight finals, but they lost by 20 to Duke. Okay. And that was in 92 in the second half. And then 93, pardon me, the next year they came back. They lost a heartbreaker to North Carolina. Even
that was the infamous Chris Webber
timeout game, whatnot.
Superdome in New Orleans.
So a lot of their the Juwan Howards of the world, Jalen Rose, Weber, they'll tell you they felt like they were better than North Carolina. Jalen Rose will tell you straight up, we weren't better than Duke. Duke just whipped us the second half. They had already beat us earlier in the season. He said the one that sticks in their craw is they felt like they let the 93 game get away against Carolina. And ironically, that was Coach Smith's second national championship, his last one, because he won it in 82 with Jordan over Georgetown. But it was one of those things where, but no, probably the Fab Five might be number 2 on the list, but I'm just talking about that Houston team and how dominant they were. And that's what makes the upset so huge for NC State.
Jim Valvano.
And then, of course, 84. That was a great Georgetown team, but that was a tough loss for the Cougars. But, man, I mean, it's just one of those things where I would say that 2 to 3 year run for Houston was unreal. And then I would say right behind them was the Fab Five, because it's tough to do it back-to-back years. And don't forget, the first year they did it, they were like a 6 seed when they played Duke. They kind of came out of nowhere to do it. There was more expectation with what they were, as they were all sophomores, and they came back to do it, try to do it again. They didn't get it done. But I would say they're right behind Vice Slam Jam with the Fab Five as far as the two best teams that didn't get it done.
All right, if Florida is fortunate enough to win tonight, they would join those teams from Billy Donovan to win the national championship game. How does this Florida team compare to those ones that Billy Donovan had that won it all?
Well, I mean, this is a very deep Florida team, but I don't know that they're as talented. I don't think they are really.
Okay.
I mean, come on. I mean, you had, you had so many, Jakeem Noah. He ended up playing a long time in the NBA. Al Horford's still going. Still got him an NBA championship. Corey Brewer, he played for a long time, a decade plus in the league. Lee Humphrey was a great marksman, a great shooter, almost like a reflection of Billy Donovan. He was a perfect fit there, no doubt about it. It was just, and then Tarian Green, point guard. He played a while professionally. I think this Florida team is deeper probably, but I'm not sure they're as talented. Now, I will say this, and I'm not going to take back. I just mentioned all those guys that played forever in the NBA. But if Clayton, for example, if he goes for 30 tonight.
He already broke Jakeem Noah's scoring mark for the tournament.
If he goes for 30 tonight and the Gators win it and they end up 36-4 in the national champion, I think it's the greatest Gator team of all time, even better than those back-to-back champions. And I think Clayton is the greatest Gator of all time.
Wow.
And I hope if we have that conversation, I'm definitely going to have Brockway on. He saw, those teams play. But, I mean, it would just be remarkable. Now, I will say this, though. I thought some of the coaching down the stretch from Golden in some of these games has been shaky. I think the coaching edge, as we watch it yet again from our guy Kugler, I think the coaching edge goes to Houston. I know. See, neither one of these coaches have ever been to the national championship game. Now, Kelvin has been to we already talked about four Final Fours. This is his first national championship game. But I just really think that Houston's got the edge in coaching right now. We'll see if Florida can match their toughness. I would think from player to player, the Gators have the most talent. But the most talent doesn't win, because Houston sure as hell didn't have more NBA talent than Duke. And look, we're watching Malawatch get his ass just outworked the entire game by a bunch of tough ass SOBs from Houston.
All right, we got to get a break in, because when we come back, Blake Lovell's going to join us. We'll ask him what he thinks about this Florida team. And if they win it, where do they fall in line of some of the great SEC teams who have won a national championship? We'll talk to Blake Lovell next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. A chilly and quiet night expected for this Monday night. Mostly clear sky to be expected. Low temperatures going to be falling into the upper 30s heading into Tuesday. Plenty of sunshine in the forecast. High temperatures reaching the upper 50s once again. It could get breezy at times. It looks like rain doesn't return back to the forecast until Thursday. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still got one wreck showing in Decatur. This one's 20 eastbound at Newcomb. Working on getting it clear. Everything else from earlier has been cleared out of the way now. You be careful on the rest of your trip in. We're going to have quite a few folks in last-minute dash mode this morning. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Attention, attention. May I have the camp's attention?
Your home of the college football playoffs.
Playoffs?
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Playoffs? Playoffs?
All right, welcome back, Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We were talking about where would this Florida Gator team, as constructed this year, if they are fortunate enough to win the national championship night, where would they fall in the line of great Florida teams? Where would they fall in the line of great SEC teams to win a national championship? And I asked you for the break. I was like, wait a minute. Kentucky, Florida, and Arkansas are the only three teams in the league to have ever won a college basketball national championship. That's it. That's it. The pool is very small when talking about SEC national champions in college basketball.
Well, and our next guest, they'll be talking about their last game of the 2024-2025 season tonight in the SEC. Now, the conversation about roster building, transfer portal, that'll still keep going on Southeastern 16, but it'll be a national championship game to focus on tonight against the University of Houston, and we're going to talk to Southeastern 16 SEC basketball analyst Blake Lovell to talk about that. Blake, we just had Bobby Champagne on. Good morning to you. He gave us the Houston perspective. We're going to let you take the floor with Florida, but I've already said this. If this Gator team can beat Houston tonight and finish this run to 36-4 in their third national championship, I think this Gator team matches up with even those 06 and 07 ones. And that Walter Clayton, if he does another 30-piece, he's the greatest Gator of them all.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's certainly an argument for it. Just because you look at what he's done it against, and I think it's just, you look at the SEC this year and setting all these records and all that, and just the way he's not only did it against other SEC teams the entire season, but also just now what he's done in the tournament. And yeah, I mean, it would certainly be pretty remarkable too when you think about, everyone we've kind of discussed the path to get here for all these teams that were in the Final Four. But now, you look at who Florida's beaten, you look at who's Houston's beaten, and I think that adds to whoever wins. That only has to add to the legacy, I think, of that specific team. So, yeah, I mean, Clayton has just been on an absolute run, the likes of which I don't know that, we'll see again anytime soon for a player in the SEC, just based on, what he's been able to accomplish. So it's pretty remarkable. And yeah, now it's kind of seeing if they can close it off here.
What has been, you look at the game against Texas Tech, Florida trails. You look at the game against Auburn, Florida trails going into the break and everything. What has it been about the second half? Is it more of Todd Golden making good adjustments in the second half, or is it just Florida, just the depth of Florida being able to wear down teams when we get into the second half?
Yeah, I think eventually they just sort of wear you down. It may be in a different way than even like a team like Houston, who I think wears you down just in terms of just the relentless sort of pressure and physicality that they play with. I think Florida's just sort of a numbers wearing you down from that standpoint. They have so many guys they can throw at you now, whenever they brought backhand Logden and all that. And I just think that was kind of the goal, was to make sure that they had the numbers they needed in these kind of scenarios where they could just throw so many different looks your way. And I also think it's just as simple as, again, what we just said it. I mean, I think part of the reason Florida has made these comebacks is it's just because they have Walter Clayton with the ball in his hand, whether he's the guy scoring or whether he's able to get the ball where it needs to go. I mean, that's been as just a, big of a reason as any. But I think when you look at it, as always, you're going to need some bounces that go your way in this tournament. Florida's had some bounces go their way, whether against the UConn game where they missed 12 free throws, whether it's the Texas Tech game where they had a 7% chance to win, I think, with like 3 minutes left, or, look at it from the flip side and say the same thing about Houston. I mean, they've had some bounces go their way in this tournament too. So you always have a little bit of that when you get at this point, but I think numbers game is probably, if Florida wins tonight, it's probably looking back and saying, well, we should have known that because they just had the numbers that wore Houston down eventually.
And then what was your take on the Florida-Auburn game? Auburn controlled it. I thought they outplayed them on both ends of the court the first half, but I thought it was as good a defensive second half as I've seen Florida play all year, holding Auburn to 27.
Yeah, that was the story of that one. I mean, it was just really the defense turned up after, I thought Auburn had a really good first half. I thought they, kind of took control there early in the second half, but it was just about Florida's defense. And I think that's the thing too, that if you go back, on January the 4th, I can remember everybody coming out of that Kentucky game saying, oh boy, this is the same Florida team we thought it would be. They started 13-0, but they can't play defense. It was all about the non-conference schedule was the toughest. We know they can score and blah, blah, blah. But since that point, right, they've become one of the best defensive teams in the country. And that has been the difference this year for Florida, is that we know the offensive capabilities, but defensively, they have just become a different team. And that was kind of on display there against Auburn. I'm sure, for Auburn, it feels like a missed opportunity, because I said coming into that game, I said, you could certainly make the argument that Auburn's playing better than Florida. We've been talking about Florida for a while now, but just based on performance, throughout the tournament, you could have certainly made the argument again that Auburn was in a better spot than Florida. But yet, once again, it's Florida who's found themselves in these situations, and they just always find a way to make the plays. And like I said, it usually starts with Walter Clayton, but defensively, Martin all season long has been fantastic. If they sort of filter you into the big guys, well, good luck, because they don't have to block shots to impact the way you score. And so it was that kind of story. Auburn missed some open shots too, and that just kind of how it goes sometimes in these games.
Walter Clayton Jr. is having him. He's having himself a tournament. I mean, he's the leading scorer in the tournament. If they win it tonight, he's gonna, you would assume, have another monster performance. Where does he fall in line with these all-time Florida greats, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's up there. I mean, he's got to be right there near the top. I mean, if you think about those teams that, won national championships, I mean, a lot of that, I think, for people was just sort of looking back and, looking at the big guys and knowing what Noah and Horford and those guys accomplished. But we also know, the likes of which of having, the guys that came through and made the impact when it comes to either, Corey Brewer, Torian Green, all those guys too. And I think overall, I mean, if you're, like you said, let's say Florida, even if they don't win tonight, I still think you're looking at a guy who's going to rank right there at the top, maybe by himself. I mean, just based on, again, what he's accomplished. I just don't know that there's a lot of people throughout history for Florida that can rival the numbers that he's put up. And so, yeah, he's one of the best to ever do it for the Gators. If we may look back SEC-wise and say there just was not another guy who did that. And that just kind of shows you, I think, when it comes to what the value can be of the transfer portal and finding the right fit and all those things. We knew he was very accomplished at Iona, with Rick Pitino, but eventually, it's like you have to find the right fit. And this has just worked out so well for him. within this Todd Golden system at Florida, and he's thrived in it, and he's helped everybody else thrive in it, and now you get one more shot here to perhaps win a national championship.
Yeah, you really do. And then your thoughts on the matchup. I mean, what a comeback for Houston, though, against Duke. Duke looked like a juggernaut. Still was under 8 minutes, up 14. But they just continued to play. Houston's mental toughness cannot be overstated. And the way they destroyed Duke on the glass, I just watched Malowatch dominate against Alabama in the middle and take Cliff Amore out, and yet Houston held him to 6, and he could not finish very well around the rim against the Cougars. And to hold Duke to 1 field goal in the last 10-plus minutes, I can't stress to you how good a defense that is, Blake.
Yeah, being the SEC guy, we've done all of our previews since Saturday night. We knew this would be the matchup, and I've heard it all about how, look, Houston's going to have a big size disadvantage, and my response would be they've had a size disadvantage all year, and they're 35-4, and they've lost 1 game in regulation this season by 5 points to Auburn on November the 9th, 3 losses in overtime. So I've heard it all. Like, I get it. People will look at Houston and say that team can't beat Florida. That Florida's just a better team, and quite honestly, I think Florida's a better team. I think they are, but why am I picking Houston? Well, it's just I think the resilient nature of this team, and understanding too that my colleague Max Barr sent me a great stat last night in the NCAA tournament. The coach with more Final Four experience, 120-70, 63% of the time that coach wins. And so this is the biggest game of the year, right? And I'm thinking about Kelvin Sampson and what he's accomplished throughout his career, and I also think about the quick turnaround here. Whose style lends itself better to a quick turnaround? I think it's Houston's, with the way they play and the way they force the tempo of the game. And to me, that's where I think this is going to get interesting. Now, listen, by no means am I confident about this choice. There's a reason Vegas hasn't won the game in Florida's favor here. But I think from this perspective, I keep looking at it and saying, all right, what is one of the things that Florida does not necessarily like? What is one thing no one likes? That's playing a team that just has relentless pressure defensively, especially when it comes to the big guys who are going to have to catch the ball out on the perimeter at times to try to run your offense like Florida does. And I think that's where things can get a little bit tricky. Sure, Florida could come out here and get 15 offensive rebounds, and that be the story of the game. But like you said, Drew, look what Houston did and what they were able to do rebounding and defensively against Duke down the stretch especially. And I think that's where, to me, this comes into play. This may be a team that doesn't have the size, may not have the numbers, but they're still a top 10 offensive rebounding team. They don't turn the ball over. They force turnovers. They shoot the ball as well as anybody from 3. And that's where, when you look at this, it's such a great matchup. Again, it would have been a great matchup no matter who the combination would have been in the national championship. But this is maybe the most intriguing that I've seen, because this is one where, again, you've got a great 3-point shooting team against a great 3-point defense. You've got what I think is the toughness of Houston that's won out in a lot of these games this year. It's going to be great. I'd be surprised if it's a blowout either way. But I'm telling you, who sets the tone early? That's going to tell us a lot, because Houston's the kind of team. And Duke, this is how Duke got off to a good start, managed to push the lead out. That's good, but it didn't matter in the end. Houston's the kind of team, if they get out on you early, they will put the clamps down and make you play the way they want to play. And I don't know that that's what Florida wants to be doing in this particular matchup.
Does the SEC need Florida to win to validate the 14 teams?
I mean, I know that'll be the national narrative, but
yes.
I don't necessarily think so. I think, again, you can kind of understand what the league accomplished this year to have as many teams as they had in the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, Final Four, and now have someone playing for national championship. Again, we know how it works. You'll have Big Ten country and ACC country and Big 12 country. They'll all be, talking about the SEC, greatest year ever, couldn't even win the national championship, all that stuff, and I get it. But we said, too, going into this Final Four, these were 4 historically great teams. And so no matter what happens here, you're talking about one of these teams is going to rank up there among the all-time greats just because of the numbers that they put together this year. And statistically, as we said, this was the best Final Four in the history of the tournament. And I think from that perspective, no matter who wins, is that a knock on the other teams? To me, absolutely not, because these were, as we said, the 4 teams that kind of separated themselves all season. It was fitting. This was sort of what you got to. And now, it's just a matter of, hey, it's a one game for winner take all. And I think, sure, it's going to be disappointing for Florida if they lose. But at the same time, come on. This was a historically great Final Four, and I wouldn't see it as that big of a knock on the SEC.
And finally, before we let you go, I know him very well. I've been honored to have him on the show several times, but your thoughts on Bucky Ball to A&M?
Yep, it's the old NFL trend, isn't it? Where the defensive guy is out, the offensive guy is in, and hey, that's how it's going to look. I think it's Texas A&M. I'm fine with that, to be honest with you. I'm okay with these 3-hour Texas A&M games perhaps being a thing of the past, to be quite honest with you. But beyond that, yes, I think aesthetically it will look a little bit better in College Station. And look, I all kidding aside, I do think it's a situation where, Drew, this guy, look at the players he's helped develop over the years, look at the talent he's been able to acquire, and that's the name of the game. Like, it's just, can you get the talent? And I think that's what it all comes down to these days. There are great coaches out there that are fantastic, but if you can't get the NIL support, if you can't get all that right now, then, it makes you look like a worse coach, right? There are guys in the SEC I could say that about. But so it's going to really come down to what kind of, opportunities and support is he getting for Texas A&M? And I think that, to me, is going to be the biggest question with this whole thing. I think he's going to do well because I think he has a style that is able to separate himself from a lot of other people. And we always say that if you're a team that can just find that identity, the way that Alabama has done, right, under Nate Oates and all these other things, you can kind of work this to your favor. And it's just about getting the players, though. And so is Texas A&M going to support what he needs to be able to have success there? I think that's what this all comes down to, because, at A&M, football is always going to be first. And I hope that he gets the supports he needs there in terms of getting the players and all that, because I think he has a chance to have a lot of success. And, I really do mean that. I am excited to see that style in the SEC on a game in and game out basis, because to me, it's just it's a lot better than the previous one we saw there.
Well, Buzz is a hell of a coach, but there is a certain style there, and we'll see how that goes at Maryland. But great stuff, Blake, and let everybody know how to connect with you guys at Southeastern 16.
Yeah, I always appreciate it, guys. Yeah, find us Southeastern 16 on YouTube. We'll be talking about Bucky today, most likely a bit, and talking about all these transfers in the SEC beyond the national championship game tonight. We'll do our live show afterwards as well. So, you can find us Southeastern 16 on YouTube.
All right, thanks, Blake.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's get that final break in. We'll wrap it all up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still got one wreck showing indicator. This one's 20 eastbound at Newcomb. Working on getting it clear. Everything else from earlier has been cleared out of the way now. You be careful on the rest of your trip in. We're going to have quite a few folks in last-minute dash mode this morning. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Would you call a plumber for a root canal? The same goes for selling your timberland or farm. Choose someone who understands your property and can help you on the front end so you can capitalize on the back end. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction. As a guide, I have put many hunters in position to take a shot. It's time for you to take your shot. Let's talk about putting you in position to sell your property. Call me at 256-609-0512. Remember, Bo knows land.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN.
500
The
million.
Zone.
It is good. It is
Just
good.
thought I'd ask.
Yeah, you are making reference to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the Blue Jays, and he agree on a 14-year, $500 million extension. 14 years, $500 million. It does not include deferrals. The second largest guarantee in Major League history. Juan Soto's 15-year, $765 million deal is the first. Shohei Ohtani's 10-year, $700 million contract. That is massively deferred.
Yeah.
So its present value is $460.8 million, according to Major League Baseball's calculations. It's impressive to say the least. That is huge. That's really if you're going to go a headline, you might as well throw that one out there. The other one is the fact that Jalen Milroe has accepted an invitation to attend the 2025 NFL draft
And to
in
watch
Green
the first
Bay.
round and the second probably. I don't know if he'll be back for the if he slips out of the third. I mean, that's probably around where he'll go as the third, so he'll be there for day 2. But if not, I don't know if he'll be back in Katy, Texas, or not watching the last day. But we'll see.
If he gets an invite, I mean, if you're Jalen Milroe, would you sit in the green room for the first round? I mean,
he is going to. He's going to sit in the green room. He's sent it as an invite with me, so he'll be there. And when he doesn't go in round 1, I'm sure he'll come back for round 2. A lot of them do that.
Right.
Round 2 and 3. And then after that, I don't know. I mean, because certainly I wouldn't take him in those top 3 rounds, but that's just me. We'll see if an NFL team does so.
Well, Dan Orlovsky this morning on Sports Center, it was a fact or fiction question.
He said
Jalen Milroe,
fiction.
a first one of 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round.
Yeah.
And it was a fiction answer.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't fiction. Alabama picked up Jalil Bethea and Tyler Bobo, and good portal class so far, 3-man class for Nate Oates in Alabama.
All right, back at it tomorrow.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement.